When Yudhishthira lost everything in the game of dice against Kaurav, he was forced to stay in jungles along with his 4 brothers and beloved wife Draupadi. Once during this period, he was visited by Brihadashwa rishi. Yudhishthira welcomed the rishi in his hermitage and offered him a proper seat. After honoring his guest appropriately, Yudhishthira got into a conversation with him and said, "O great sage, who in this world would be more unfortunate than me, to have everything and then lose it all in a game of dice and cause great suffering to my kins?" Hearing this, the great rishi replied, "O Dharmraj, it is not so. There was another before you. Today, I will tell you the story of King Nal." Sutradhar presents to you the story of Nal and Damayanti that was narrated to Yudhishthira by Brihadashwa rishi. It is a classic story about love, loss and redemption. We hope you all will enjoy. We will narrate this epic love story from Mahabharata in 6 episodes. Let's get on with the first episode of the saga of Raja Nal and Damayanti. Long time ago in the kingdom of Nishad, Nal, son of Veersen, used to be the king. He was virtuous, truthful, wise and loved by everyone. He was a brave warrior as well as a kind ruler. He was one of the most handsome kings of his time and was renowned everywhere for his virtues. He also had one vice. He was very fond of the game of dice. Around the same time, the kingdom of Vidarbha was ruled by Bhima. He was also very kind and virtuous and was loved by his subject. He prayed to Daman rishi and was blessed with 4 children. 3 sons, Dam, Dant and Daman, and 1 daughter, Damayanti. Princess Damayanti was one of the most beautiful women of her time and was even compared to goddess Lakshmi for the same. There was no one prettier than her even among gods and demigods. Traders visiting Nishad from Vidarbha would tell King Nal tales about the beauty and virtues of Princess Damayanti. Damayanti also heard a lot about the virtuousness of King Nal from the traders coming to Vidarbha from Nishad. This exchange of tales through travelers intrigued both of them about each other. It would not be unfair to say that both of them developed a liking for each other without meeting even once. One day King Nal was roaming in his garden and he spotted a few swans playing near the pond. One of the swans looked like he was hurt. Nal caught the swan and tended to his wound. The swan felt grateful and told Nal, "O great king, I am grateful to you for tending to my wound. Now I feel much better. Please let me go now. In return for your kindness, I will go to Vidarbha kingdom and tell tales of your virtues to Princess Damayanti in such a way that she will surely fall in love with you." Hearing the swan say this, King Nal released the swan. As promised, the swan flew to Vidarbha kingdom and started playing in the royal garden. Damayanti was very happy to see the beautiful bird in her garden and tried to catch him. When Damayanti came close to the swan, he said, "O beautiful princess, in the kingdom of Nishad, the king is Nal. He is handsome like Ashwani Kumars. There is no man more handsome than him. He looks like the incarnation of God of Desires, Kamdev himself. He is kind and virtuous. If there is any man worthy of marrying you, it is him. We have roamed across 3 worlds and have not found anyone better than him. Like you are the best among women. He is a gem among all men." Hearing the swan talk like this, Damayanti said, "I have heard a lot about this King Nal myself from various travelers. And now hearing these words from you, intrigued me even more. You please go back to King Nal and give him this message of mine." The swan went back to Nishad and delivered Damayanti's message to Nal. Damayanti already had developed feelings for Nal, and after her encounter with the swan, all she could think was about him. Observing his daughter's behavior, King Bhimak decided that his daughter was now of the right age to get married. He decided to call for an assembly of all the suitable grooms from across kingdoms for Damayanti to choose the right match for her. He sent invitations to all the neighboring kings and princes to participate in this assembly. Damayanti's famous beauty ensured that all the kings and princes from all over the world gathered in Vidarbha to try their luck in winning over the hand of the most beautiful women in the three worlds in marriage. King Bhimak had made appropriate arrangements for their stay and entertainment. When Narad Muni heard the news of Damayanti's swayamvara, he visited heaven and sang songs of Damayanti's divine beauty. He informed the gods about the swayamvara and suggested that only a god should be worthy of marrying such beauty. Indra, along with other gods, decided to participate in Damayanti's swayamvara. King Nal, whose heart was already captivated by the tales of Damayanti's beauty, was also on his way to Vidarbha to participate in her swayamvara. The gods knew about the connection between Nal and Damayanti, hence they stopped Nal on the way. Indra told Nal, "O King of Kings, you are so kind and truthful. We need your help regarding an urgent matter." Nal, without having a clue about what gods had in mind, agreed to help them and said, "I will surely help you to the best of my capacity." After agreeing to help them, Nal asked, "Who are you and what help you seek from me?" Indra replied, "We are gods. I'm Indra, and they are Agni, Varun and Yam. We are here to attend Damayanti's swayamvara. We want you to go to Damayanti as our messenger and tell her that the lords of four directions, Indra, Varun, Agni and Yam, are going to attend her swayamvara and she should choose one among us as her husband." Nal looked at Indra with folded hands and said, "O King of gods, purpose of your visit and mine is the same. I too desire to marry Damayanti. Hence, it is not right to send me as a messenger to deliver this message. How can I tell the women I want to marry that she can marry one of you?" Indra said, "O Nal, you have already made a promise to us. It is not suitable for a person like you to break a promise." Nal replied, "Even if I agree to do this task, it is beyond my ability. Damayanti's palace is guarded by alert guards, and I will not be allowed to reach her room without being stopped." Indra said, "This is an easy problem to solve. We grant you the power to become invisible to any man guarding the way towards Damayanti's quarter. You will be able to enter her room without getting detected by anyone. Now please go and do that task you have promised to perform." Thus, having granted the power from the gods, King Nal entered the royal palace of Vidarbha and managed to enter Damayanti's room without being stopped by anyone on the way. When Damayanti and her friends saw such a handsome man standing among them, they were in so much awe that they could not utter a single word. Finally, Damayanti composed herself and asked Nal, "You don't look like a thief. Tell me, who are you and how you managed to wander into my room? How come none of the guards stopped you on your way here?" Nal replied, "O beautiful princess, I am Nal, king of Nishad, but today I am here as a messenger of gods. I have been sent by the lords of four directions, Indra, Varun, Agni, and Yam. And it is because of their divine enchantment that none of the gods saw me coming here. The 4 gods will be attending your swayamvara, and they have asked me to tell you to pick one of them as your groom. Damayanti looked at Nal in astonishment and said, "O King of Kings, I love you, and in my heart I have already decided to marry you. All this assembly of kings and princes has been called only for that purpose. Since the day I have heard about you from the swan, I have surrendered my heart and mind to you." Nal said, "When even gods are eager to marry you, why do you want me as your husband? I am a mere human and nowhere close to the gods whose message I have brought to you." Nal's words brought tears into Damayanti's eyes, and she said, "I do not want to marry any gods. I love only you and will pick you in the swayamvara assembly." Nal asked Damayanti, "It gives me great pleasure to know what is in your mind, and I also feel the same way about you. However, please tell me, wouldn't it be unfair of me to ask you to marry me instead of the gods whose messenger I am?" To Nal's dilemma, Damayanti suggested, "My dear, you do not worry. You attend the assembly along with these gods. I will seek permission of these gods and will wed you with their blessings to our union. I will find a way." Later, King Nal met the gods and informed them about his conversation with Damayanti truthfully. He told them that Damayanti will pick him in front of them with their blessings. At the designated time, all the potential suitors gathered in the assembly area, seated at their designated chair, patiently waiting for Damayanti to arrive and choose one of them as her life partner. When everyone present was seated properly, King Bhimak addressed his guests and thanked them for their participation. He then invited his daughter to enter the assembly hall. Damayanti entered the assembly hall along with her companions and started going to everyone in attendance one by one. An announcer was announcing the credentials of the suitor visited by Damayanti. Damayanti kept moving further, looking for King Nal. Finally, Damayanti reached a spot where 5 kings were sitting. They all looked like King Nal and were dressed exactly the same. Damayanti tried very hard to spot the real Nal among them, but found it extremely difficult. Eventually, she surrendered herself to the gods and prayed to them in her mind. "O lords of 4 directions, I am grateful that you are interested in marrying me. However, I have already married King Nal in my mind. It would not be fair if I select anyone else and not him. I pray to you to grant me enough wisdom to see the real Nal." Hearing Damayanti's prayer and realizing her devotion towards Nal, gods granted her the wisdom to identify real Nal. She realized that gods were not sweating. There was not a speck of dirt on their clothes. Their feet were not even touching the ground. While Nal had sweat on his forehead, his clothes had dirt and his feet were firmly on the ground. Thus, with the grace of gods, Damayanti managed to identify the real King Nal and happily chose him as her groom by gracefully offering him the garland of flowers she was carrying. King Nal happily accepted the garland from Damayanti and said, "O beloved, you have chosen me over gods. I am so delighted and grateful for that. I promise to become a devoted and loving husband to you. Till there is life in my body, I will not think of any women other than you." At this point, all the gods had returned in their original divine form. Nal and Damayanti bowed in front of gods and asked for their blessings. 4 gods offered 8 boons to Nal. Indra said, I will always bless the yajna conducted by you, and your chariot will be the fastest. Agni Dev said, You will be able to call me at your will, and you will be able to bring light to yourself. Yamraj said, Food cooked by you will always be full of flavors, and you will always follow the path of dharma. Varun Dev said, You will be able to find water wherever you want, and the flowers in your garland will always be fresh and scented. All the gods left for heaven after blessing the couple. King Bhimak married them with proper ceremony, and the couple decided to stay for a few days at the capital of Vidarbha, Kundinagar. Afterwards, King Nal, with the blessings of his father-in-law, King Bhimak, brought Damayanti with him back to his palace in Nishad kingdom. They lived a happy married life and were blessed with 2 children, a son named Indrasen and a daughter named Indrasena. This is the end of part 1 of the story. In the next part, we will find out that their blissful life was short-lived because fate had other plans for them. Stay connected to Sutradhar for the next part of the love saga of Nal and Damayanti.